The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Spoken Token podcast, this time, episode number 119. Come and join us as Alex and Larry take a short detour in our summer of games and visit with local luminary game designer Tom Sturdevant. So, sit back, relax, rewind the videotape in your VCR, and turn us up as we join our hosts for this very special episode, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the big show. I am Larry Neal.
Hey, and I am Alex Wallace.
And we are the Spoken Token podcast. Mr. Alex, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, we're doing great, and we are working on the fly, just like we like to. Isn't that fun, Larry? So
it is, and without any further ado, because we're super excited, we have a very special guest this time with us who's agreed to come on and talk to us. We want to give him as much time as possible. So we're going to forego our usual intro banter and get right into the content with the one and the only Mr. Tom Sturdevant. Did I say your last name correctly, Tom?
Yeah.
Sturdevant.
Tom, if you don't mind, Tom, and I know a lot of people probably do know who you are, but I know there's some who don't. If you could just give us just a short introduction and just tell the people who you are and some of the wonderful, wonderful things you've done for hobby board gaming.
You mean besides being a game inventor? It's, when you're 80 years old, the bio is pretty thick.
That is true. That is true. Well, and that is specifically, I guess, one of the things we want to talk about. Yeah, you invented so many games, and we want to get into some game design stuff as we always do. But excuse me, I just want to give you a chance to just say hello to everybody and maybe give a couple of the notables from your perspective of the reasons why they should know your name.
Well, I really don't expect very many people to know my name because, game inventors aren't very famous. And I am a songwriter, but I'm one of the most obscure songwriters in the world. So nobody's going to know me about through that either, unless maybe they live in Nashville, and then they might.
They might know you. All right. Well, now I'm curious. I didn't know that you were a songwriter. I mean, what would you say would be your most well-known song?
Probably none. None of my songs are famous. I'm a primarily kind of a jazz writer.
Okay.
I've been recorded by a Nashville jazz artist, Annie Selleck, who is she's kind of, one of the best singers in town. She's done 2 CDs of mine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And it's one of them was gypsy jazz, which is kind of a sub niche in the jazz genre.
Yeah.
I'm not famous.
At least as a songwriter, you're not famous. But
Alex, you led us on this expedition, so now you have to bring it
back. Absolutely. Fair enough. All right. So, Tom, all right. So we may not know you as a songwriter, but we do, especially a lot of us here in Nashville, know you as a game designer. I know you specifically for the wonderful single player game Q-less, which is it's one of those games where you sit and you play and you go, why didn't I think of this? And so I want to jump off really quickly and like where did this come up? Like, what was your journey to say like, hey, I could do this?
Okay. I was in the game business. The first time my first game came out in 1996. It was a card game. And I sold a lot of those. I don't know, 70, 80,000.
Oh, games. Wow. Is this lettre? How do you pronounce that? Or is that?
It's a Spanish word for letters, really.
Okay, lettres. Okay, yeah.
And so I did that, and then I came up with one with numbers, and that was called equals. They were very similar. One was words, and one was numbers. What do you call them? Formulas. And I did that, and then I retired. I kind of retired from the game business after about 8-10 years. And but I had this. I had the beginnings of Keyless. I got the idea on a road trip, and I just, I had no intention of ever really doing anything with it, but I kept tweaking it. I spent about 15 years trying to get the distribution of letters right. I would play it for 6 months, or a year, and then I'd say, well, that was too easy or too something, and change the letters. And then when I finally, about 2017, I probably started around 2002 or 3. About 2017, I said, I had little mock-ups. I get blank dice from a dice company, and I'd put letters, press-on letters on there,
Yeah.
They, they're hard to get now, but they used to be used before computers. The graphic people would have these letters that they could transfer from a page onto a piece of paper.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I made my little prototypes. And I finally, in 2017, I said, this game is pretty darn cool. And I my relatives, my family, and my friends, and so I decided to come out of. I was 70. What? 7. I was 74 at that point. I said, I'm going to do this. I got to do this because I cannot do this because this game is just too cool.
That's awesome. So really quickly, I want to pause just for those who aren't familiar with the game Keyless. How many dice are in the game?
12.
There are 12 dice, and each dice contains a combination of letters, 1 letter per side on the 6-sided dice. You roll the dice, and then it's basically a crossword puzzle at that point.
Well, it's kind of it's more like together. You're making words, but they all have to connect.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So kind of like bananagrams a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what bananagrams was. And I was doing a little show down in Franklin. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, that's kind of like bananagrams." So I looked into it, and it is, except it's only 12 dice. That's
right. Yeah, and bananagrams is 50 or 60 different tiles. And so.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. Probably if I'd known about it, I might not have done it,
Yeah. Well,
in that case, I'm glad you didn't.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating to me is, in hearing your story, is that someone would look at Keyless 12 dice and go, "Oh, that's not hard." But then to hear that you had to think about it for 15 years to make sure that the distribution of letters was doable.
Well, I wasn't I wasn't working on it full time.
Okay. Yeah.
So the 15 years that's what it took, but it wasn't. That was because I was just goofing around.
Okay.
I was enjoying retirement. I was, but that is the key to the game: the distribution of letters.
Yeah.
That's what makes the game work, and that took me a while to figure out. Okay, how many K's, how many L's, how many F's, all that. And that was just trial. I didn't, I'm not a computer guy. All trial and error. No artificial intelligence helping me.
It's all natural intelligence, right?
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. So real quick, what were you primarily a game designer before you retired, or what would you say was your profession while in the late 90s?
Alex, I got to tell you, I started out as an agronomist. That's an agricultural. I was I taught Peace Corps volunteers agriculture in the 70s.
Okay. All right.
And I was a foreign service officer in Vietnam during the Vietnam War.
Wow. I never knew that. Okay.
Then I farmed, worked on a big farm for a while. Then I decided I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a creative person because I wrote a musical.
Whoa, pause. So I'm a big theater guy. I actually am I teach high school theater. So, and I'm always looking out for new musicals. So I'm going to have to put a little pin in this. Can you give me the quick elevator pitch of your musical that you wrote right after coming out of farming?
I'll give you a quick story. I was living in a little town, 2,000 people in North Idaho. This is 1975. And I was working on a big farm. And this guy, I went to a party one night, and there was a guitar there, and I played some. I've always been into music. I played something, and they said, "Oh, you know what? We're doing the Christmas Carol for Christmas. What would you think about making it into a musical?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to do that." So I wrote like 7 songs in a week.
Oh my gosh. Please tell me that it's very similar to like Jesus Christ Superstar, and Jacob Marley is like, Ebenezer, what's it gonna do, Ebenezer?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so I got hooked on that. And then shortly after that following spring, the theater, we had a meeting. What are we going to do next? And they all looked at me and they go, "Tom, we want to do another musical. Write one." So I just made up a musical. I think I wrote it in a week.
Oh my goodness. And
it was it was a melodrama set in that little town. That was and it was kidnappings. We had a woman kidnapped from the saloon,
Yeah.
And we had the sheriff running after the guy, the bad guy.
The bad guy twisting his mustache.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely mustaches. And it was a blast. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So right then I said, okay, I am going to be a creative person. And that's what I've done ever since. Now I've had to do a lot of different things because
creativity doesn't pay the bills a lot of the time, does it?
It's tough.
So how did you get into board gaming then?
Yeah, what's the segue? Yeah, we got to bring it back home. Yeah, what's the segue?
I didn't. I'm not really a game person. I mean, I love Scrabble. I like words. Okay, a friend of mine here in Nashville, his name is Daniel Butler, known by a lot of people. He was involved in the whole Cardin and Cherry, Ernst, the Ernst movies.
Oh yeah, Jim Varney.
Absolutely.
Jim Varney. Okay.
Yeah,
he worked down there with Cardin and Cherry, which is where Ernst came from.
Okay,
Cardin and Cherry was an ad agency.
Right, because Jim Varney started wasn't it Purity Dairy or?
Yep.
That was one of his. The Purity thing, and then John Cherry was the brains behind the whole thing.
Oh wow! Okay,
and he recently died, not in the last year or so. Anyway, so this Daniel Butler was working down there, and he was trying to put together a museum, a traveling puzzle exhibit for museums. You know how you have these exhibits that go around to museums all over the country? Mm-hmm. Well, he wanted to do one about puzzles.
Okay.
Oh.
And I knew him well, and he hired me to basically do it. I was the guy who was trying to figure out. I didn't know anything about puzzles. So I met all these amazing puzzle guys. Okay. Japanese guy, some of the famous puzzles that we don't know, we don't know the names of the guys who created them, but I met a lot of them.
Okay.
And that started me thinking about puzzles. And then I kind of started thinking about games, because games are kind of puzzles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference, but that's how it happened. And so my first game was actually a board game that I ended up licensing to Blockbuster Video.
I played that game.
Larry mentioned this. So you actually created the first Blockbuster board game.
I don't. As far as I know, it was the first, probably the last.
Actually, no. They ironically came out with a new Blockbuster board game about 2 years ago. So, but it was all kind of caught up in that when like there was only one Blockbuster left in the world. It was in Alaska or something.
Oh,
So yeah. So, but it was not out of like, hey, we're Blockbuster, we're on top of the world. Of course, let's make a board game. It was like, hey, Blockbuster is now a meme, and let's be ironic about it.
Yeah, it was a play on nostalgia. Yeah.
So, a side note. One of my first jobs out of high school was working at a Hollywood Video. So Blockbuster was the corporate conglomerate that we absolutely hated. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't hold it against you. So, all right. So you created the first Blockbuster. You licensed that Blockbuster video game. Actually, Blockbuster Video, the board game. So
it was called, they called it the Blockbuster movie game.
Blockbuster movie game.
I'm pretty sure that's what they called it. Yeah.
Was it one of those games like it was on a VHS or like?
Okay, here's why they liked it. You could play it with any movie.
Okay.
Didn't matter what the movie was. All it was, the movie was just information. And the idea of the whole game was to people would ask questions of, if it's my turn, right? Let's say it's my turn. We're going to watch 1 minute of video. And then I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say, Alex, what was the license number on that truck parked in front of the bakery?
Oh, so it's like really, really specific things.
Yeah, it's all about observation.
Okay, yeah. So movies, it didn't really even matter. It was okay. Oh, that's fascinating.
It was a cool game, and the only thing that it did matter, if a movie was real slow, it wasn't as fun. But I'll tell you, when I sold it to him, we played it with The Mask.
Like Jim Carrey's The Mask?
Jim Carrey, The Mask. Yeah. And let me tell you,
that movie moves at like 6,000 miles per hour.
It was it's still probably the perfect movie for that game.
Oh, and my goodness.
When I went down to Dallas, and they said, we'll give you 10 minutes. Okay. I said, okay, 10 minutes. Well, I was there for 2 hours. We played the whole game until everybody, who won and who lost and the whole thing. And that's, the game just sold itself.
Oh my, so did you only use The Mask or did you use multiple movies?
That's the one I used to pitch it to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got a funny story about that. The night before, I'm down there, I'm staying with friends in Dallas. And all of a sudden I said, oh God, what if the main person was a woman what if she is threatened by Cameron Diaz? Right? So I said that could happen.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I said, can we go to a video store? So he takes me to the video store. I'm walking around for 30 minutes trying to find a better movie, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Finally, I said, no, I'm going with The Mask.
That's what we're gonna do. That's gonna do.
Okay. So
I love it.
So we're sitting in this room, and I pop the video in the little, in the cassette player, and it comes up The Mask, and the woman, the one I was worried about, she says, "Oh, I love this movie."
So obviously, not threatened.
A touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that is fantastic.
How fortuitous of that.
I want to seize on something because you talked about it here. You said it a couple of times. Clearly, there's a bit of just natural, just panache and just wonderful personableness, being able to meet people. But do you have a specific process when you're getting ready for a pitch? Like, how did you prepare to pitch? What was your mindset whenever you were going to pitch a board game specifically to a board game company?
It's funny. With games, I don't know what it is about. I have a really hard time pitching songs. I think, but games, man, I don't know what it is. my first game, I was pitching this little goofy prototype to the buyer at Davis Kid Bookstore.
Wow.
This thing it was like we didn't have the final product, right? We had this, it was like a photocopy of what the packaging was going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't care. She bought it. It was like, and it's I think the trick is this: if you really have something, if you have something that you believe in, and you don't have to have a pitch. I mean, the pitch, it's just natural. Mm-hmm. It's like they pick up on. I mean, you got to have something. You can't. I mean,
I like it.
That's what I tell people. Okay, if you're trying to pitch a piece of crap, forget about it. You can't have a good pitch if you don't have anything to pitch.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with the product. It starts with the product.
And then my own enthusiasm and my whatever, that they pick up on that.
And did you lead with while I was in the Peace Corps? So is that never a lead in for your pitches? No,
they don't. That never came up. They don't.
Okay. All right. So
he wasn't running the resume.
All right. So I want to jump back into your journey. So you pitched and sold the Blockbuster game. So what happens after that?
Well, okay. See, I invented that game before I invented the other games, the word game, Letras and Equals, but those went on the market first. I hadn't figured out how to sell that board game. I went ahead and did the 2 card games in 1996. It wasn't until 2000 that I actually decided to try to get to Blockbuster. Had a heck of a time. Took me months.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So then, I kept going. I don't know. What did I go? I kind of got out of the game business around 2004 or 5, something like that. No, maybe later, 6. I don't remember. I just got tired of just selling games. I'm a creator. I am not a business guy. Here's the basic thing. If you're a creator and you want to make a living, you got 2 choices. Well, really, you only have one, and that is to become a businessman. Because if you make a deal with somebody, they're going to make all the money. You're not going to make any money. So that's what I did. And I learned to do that with the first 2 games. I didn't know anything. I learned how to make cards. I learned how to make boxes. I learned how you got to hire a graphic guy who's really good. So when it came time for Q-less in 2017, I kind of knew what I was doing. I even though it was different, with the internet and so forth, because that's mainly how I sell now, except for a few stores in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was, okay, who's going to make the dice? Who's going to make the tins? Who's going to, print the labels? And I've done, I was prepared for that because of my earlier experience.
Gotcha. So all right. So you've had a prolific career of just being creative. Is there a board game that has been elusive to you? Like you've, you said you kind of marinated on Q-less for a number of years. Is there another one that's just kind of rattling in there that you've?
Well, see, actually, there's the Blockbuster game. I kind of reimagined it.
Okay.
After I got the game. I had a license, right? They licensed the game. And then when the license was over, they didn't make any more. I got the license back. Okay. So now that was after 9/11. So I changed the name of the game to Witness.
Okay.
Gave it, can you feel that? It gave it kind of a little darker,
a little bit more macabre, a little bit more suspense.
Yeah, the first one was kind of like popcorn and fun and games at the movies. The second, and I didn't change any rules. It was just the look. But I tried a little bit. I had a friend who was very high up in the military, and I was trying to get it. I thought it'd be great training for the military.
You know, side note, there's a whole, like, the military actually uses abstract board gaming in a lot of its officer training.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was not successful. Anyway, so that game is still, it's still sitting there. And I do have another idea. I don't know if I'll ever do anything with it. It's a game about, it's called Revelation, actually.
Okay, intrigued.
And during the course of the game, the players have to reveal themselves. It's cool.
Sounds good. I don't know, Tom. I think we need that one.
You ask questions of each other while you're playing the game. Like, what was the name of the girl that gave you your first kiss? Right. And then, anyway, I don't want to give it all away.
But, yeah. No. I mean, like,
keep something. Keep something in there. I love it.
Well, I like games that. See, there's a similarity between that and the Blockbuster game.
I was noticing,
it doesn't have to do with it's personal.
Right.
Yeah, it's even the observation thing. That's personal,
Yeah.
It has not. It's like you don't. Here it is. You don't have to know anything.
Right. And there's a whole level, like most modern board games, they manufacture the experience within the mechanics or, and all of those kinds of things. And the players, when they come to it, it's they all have the same experience. But in these kinds of games, in like social deduction games and that kind of stuff, every game is infinitely different because people are infinitely different.
Yeah. Good. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is. That's well said, sir.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, Tom, I mean, let's, I know we've been kind of going on a journey. I don't know how we're looking for time, but I do want to give you space too, to let people know how they can get in touch with you. Now we'll put some stuff in our show notes, but I'd like for you to just let them know where they can find you and what you're doing now, whatever it is, whether it's your games, your music, whatever you want to let them know.
Well, the website is culisgame.com. That is where I sell most of my games. I do, this is a cottage industry. So I do all the assembly, I do all the shipping, all that stuff. I get help from family. Sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, I have to hire people to help me a little bit. I'm only in 3 stores in Nashville. I get requests almost every week from stores around the country. I just don't want to get into the wholesale business, right?
Got it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole different thing. Then I'd have to have a display. I got to figure out how am I going to ship games, 30 games, 50 games, whatever it is. The way it is now, I just deliver them. I just, I get my card, take them over to Parnassus Books in Nashville is selling them like cakes.
I'm a witness.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So that's
the recipient many times. Okay.
I also I do a TikTok every morning. I've been doing it for over 2 years, and what I do is a solution. I've got a little setup so my camera's looking down on the table,
Yeah.
I just go, "Oh, good morning." I go, "Good morning. It's Tom and my game Culis. Let's see what we have today. Oh, we have Jay, and I solve it. And I have 100,000 followers on TikTok.
He's serious. That's incredible.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey, you know what? I'm going to selfishly say we're going to, if possible, we're going to co-opt you. and so on your next solve, just let them know, hey, you talked to two devilishly handsome gentlemen.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay, but no, Tom, it's been great. And I mean, you've touched on so much in terms of, like you said, you learned how to make the boxes, and you learned how to make dice and do the designs. And you touched on that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you letting everybody hear, if you've got an idea from a game design perspective, if you've got an idea and you want to play a game, yeah, it's not so much that you need to look elsewhere. I mean, if you want to get it done, you can do it. Just
you can, and I think
do it.
That was, that's whatever you want. If you want to do something, do not wait for somebody else to either give you permission to do it or help you do it. Just do it.
I love it.
Except for laundry.
Oh, yeah.
I need my wife to tell me to do it. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So,
I appreciate your honesty.
well, Tom, I can't thank you enough. I mean, just your collected wisdom, your kindness, and just what you've contributed to our local community. So I mean, we're incredibly grateful for your for just speaking with us. So really quickly, I know you say you're not much of a gamer, but if you had to identify a game, and it could be as loosely connected as you want, but something focused on racing. All right. That's we do have kind of a summer theme going on right now as our favorite racing games. Do you have a game that you would say would be your favorite racing game?
You mean racing like what? Formula One or NASCAR?
Just again, it could be as loose, as specific as actual racing, or as wild and out there as I don't even know.
I haven't about that. I would not. No, I have nothing to.
Okay, I mean, so all right, I'm gonna throw this. Are you a fan of the 52 card game Speed? So have you ever played Speed? Never played Speed?
No.
All right. Well, that's a pack of playing. I'm going to pick one for you. So, so Tom's favorite racing game is Speed with regular pack of playing cards. So, what a wonderful suggestion, Tom. Thank you. So,
yeah, no, I said I'm not a big gamer. I'm not a gamer. I invent stuff, but I don't. I don't. In fact, I didn't know about all these games that are out there now. The whole game thing has exploded, right? In the last, I didn't know anything about that until Bob Bernstein told me about it. Because he was he's an old friend of mine. I mean, for 30 some years, and I was telling him about Q-List because I was thinking it'd be great for in Fido or over in Nashville,
right.
And this before I met Rick. I didn't know him yet.
Yeah.
And he said, well, let me show you some of these games. I'm over at Bob's house, and he keeps bringing out these amazing games that were way too complex for me. I mean, Q-List is a fun game, but it is not complex.
No,
it was very simple. That's the it is not a complex strategy game where you have to it isn't like that. So no, I'm not. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, listen, you don't have to know a lot about board games to make a great board game. And I mean, that's just the
no.
Yeah, that's the mark. Right. The mark of a true creative is fun no matter what you know and what you don't.
Yeah, it's focus. Focus is everything if you're trying to create something. Just hang in there and keep, and then eventually it's done. Same thing with songwriting. It's the same process. You just kind of keep working at it. And the devil's in the details,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we sign off, Larry and I are going to give our picks for Summer of Games to go out and play get tonight and go out and play with your family. So my summer of game racing game recommendation is an oldie and a goodie, and one I truly, truly stink at. And that is the classic Dutch Blitz. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Target, but it is similar to Speed, but
you can get them at Game Point.
Yeah, you can get them at Game Point. Dutch Blitz is, I actually think it is older than I am. No, this one is all about fast matching, numbers, different colors, cards going everywhere. I mean, we're talking
game is not a racing game.
It never is, Larry. It never is. You're never on theme.
That's because the game choice doesn't have to be on theme.
What's your game, Larry? What's your game, buddy? Buddy, you keep forgetting we're on radio.
You know what? If you hadn't seen something, you couldn't have said something. No, my summer game choice this time is the Ashes Reborn, the reprint. And it's a bit of a cheat. The only reason why is because short story, I was shifting some things around and getting some things unpacked. A big part of my collection is still packed away. And I came across it just a couple of weeks ago. And I wasn't trying to take anything out of that tin. I was just trying to move it. But the lid came off and I saw Ashes and I put it back. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to get Ashes because I've been wanting to play Ashes. So I got it out. So I've been relearning it, throwing the dice and chucking it, and have just fallen in love with it all over again.
Yeah, it's
like,
it's such a good game.
You know what? I got to do it. I got to do it. It is absolutely positively. So it's Ashes Reborn. And they just had an expansion that just dropped that now gives you both co-op and solo.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
In the Ashes world. So good timing on that. But that is Ashes Reborn, of course, by Plaid Hat Games. Go out, man. You will not be disappointed if you like deck builders and you like chucking some dice. And now you can play it co-op. So you and your person, doesn't have to be 1v1. You can get together and beat up on a big bad at the same time instead of each other. And that's my game choice.
Absolutely. Tom, again, thank you so much. For generously sharing your time and your information and your stories. We would absolutely love to have you back at any time. And I'm not even on TikTok, but I may just get on TikTok just to watch you solve a Q-list puzzle every morning.
Now that I know there's some good content.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Spoken Token, I am Alex Wallace saying keep playing.
And this is Larry Neal saying keep communicating.
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you'd like to interact with us, please contact us through email at thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast, on Twitter at The Spoken Token, or on Facebook at The Spoken Token Podcast. And you can reach us through our BGG Guild, number 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.